Chapter 1. If pain could speak, what would it say? Imagine for a moment that your pain could speak. What would it tell you? Would it whisper stories of betrayal and heartbreak? Would it cry for the moments you tried to silence it? Or would it tell you that it has been waiting patiently for you to finally listen? We live in a world that teaches us to avoid pain at all costs. From the moment we're born, we're conditioned to chase pleasure, comfort, and certainty. Pain in our collective mind is the enemy, a signal that something has gone terribly wrong. But what if that assumption was the greatest illusion of all? What if pain isn't the villain, but the messenger of your soul? A divine teacher wrapped in discomfort. In the twin flame journey, this truth becomes undeniable. The meeting of two souls that mirror each other at the deepest level is both ecstatic and excruciating. It's the collision of light and shadow. You feel love that defies logic, yet the very same connection triggers the most intense pain you've ever known. Why? Because your twin flame doesn't just reflect your beauty, they reflect your wounds. They are the mirror that refuses to lie. When the connection begins, it feels like coming home. Every heartbeat, every look, feels like eternity condensed into a moment. But then something happens. The distance, the silence, the separation. Suddenly, the love that once lifted you into the heavens now throws you into the depths of your own fears. You find yourself asking, if this is love, why does it hurt so much? That question marks the beginning of your spiritual awakening. Pain is not random. It is intelligence, divine intelligence, speaking the only language it knows. Sensation. When your body burns, it's telling you to pull away from the fire. When your heart aches, it's telling you to look at the fire within. The flames you feel are not punishment. They are purification. Let's think about this. Have you ever grown without discomfort? The muscles ache after exercise. The heart breaks after love. The ego trembles before transformation. Every expansion requires friction. Without friction, there's no spark. Without spark, no light. So pain, in truth, is not here to destroy you. It's here to break open the shell of who you thought you were so your soul can finally breathe. Yet, our instinct is to resist. We numb ourselves with distractions, with work, with relationships that keep us from feeling. We tell ourselves we're moving on, but really we're running away. The problem is, what you run from doesn't disappear. It hides in the shadows, waiting for another opportunity to be seen. That's why you keep attracting the same kind of pain, the same kind of rejection, the same patterns in love. The universe repeats the lesson until you learn it. And in the twin flame journey, there's no avoiding it. This connection forces you to face what you've avoided your entire life. The pain of separation, of longing, of silence, it all serves a higher purpose, to bring you home to yourself. Think about the moments that broke you the most. Did they not also reveal your strength? Did they not push you to seek truth, to dig deeper, to question everything you believed about love and identity? Pain strips away the layers that aren't real, the false personas, the masks, the stories you tell yourself about being not enough. It's a sacred fire, burning away illusion until only truth remains. But when you're inside that fire, it's hard to see the beauty in it. You only feel the heat, the intensity, the tears that seem endless. You might pray for it to stop, to numb again. Yet the moment you stop resisting, something magical happens. The pain softens. The energy that once felt unbearable begins to move. You feel lighter, freer, clearer. That is the alchemy of surrender. Pain, then, is the universe's way of saying, you are ready to evolve. When your twin flame pulls away, when the silence feels unbearable, it's not rejection, it's initiation. You're being invited to find within yourself what you were seeking in them. You wanted love, validation, safety. Now the universe asks you to give those things to yourself. It's one of the hardest lessons you'll ever learn, but also the most liberating. Because when you realize that everything you were chasing outside of you already lives inside, the game changes. You stop seeing pain as punishment. You start seeing it as the doorway to transformation. In many spiritual traditions, pain is seen not as an obstacle but as the path itself. The Buddha's enlightenment began with suffering. Jesus' resurrection came through crucifixion. Rumi, one of the greatest mystics, wrote, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." These are not metaphors. They are energetic truths. The light of awareness can only enter through the cracks created by pain. Without those cracks, we remain sealed inside our illusions. So when you ask, why does it hurt so much? Maybe the answer is, because your soul loves you enough to wake you. Imagine this, your soul signed a contract before birth. It knew that this lifetime would not be about comfort. It would be about awakening. You agreed to meet your twin flame to experience both. The ecstasy of reunion and the agony of separation, not as punishment but as remembrance. Every tear, every ache, every sleepless night is part of that remembrance. Through pain you remember who you truly are, infinite, boundless, divine. Now let's look deeper. What if pain has personality, a consciousness of its own? If pain could stand before you, what would it say? Maybe it would whisper, I am not here to hurt you. I am here to free you. I am the shadow that leads you to light. I am the part of you you've ignored for lifetimes. Pain is like a loyal friend who refuses to let you forget your truth. It will knock again and again until you open the door. And once you do, once you invite it in, listen to it and embrace it, it transforms into wisdom. So the next time your heart aches, instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Try asking, what is this trying to teach me? Because every ache carries a message. Every tear holds information. Every silence hides a lesson in love. The twin flame journey at its core is the story of love meeting pain and realizing they are not opposites but mirrors. Love without pain would never teach compassion. Pain without love would never lead to healing. Together, they complete the circle of transformation. And this is where the illusion breaks. You were never being punished. You were being purified. When you stop fighting the pain, when you breathe into it, something sacred unfolds. You begin to sense the stillness underneath, that silent awareness watching everything. The tears fall, but you remain. The body trembles, but you observe. That you, the observer, is your soul, untouched and eternal. That's the truth pain wants you to discover. You are not the pain. You are the consciousness experiencing it. You are the sky, not the storm. So, if pain could speak today, maybe it would say, don't fear me. I am your passage back home. Because in the end, the purpose of pain isn't to make you suffer. It's to make you see. To open your eyes to the love that never leaves, the strength that never breaks, the divinity that never dies. And once you see that, truly see that, even pain bows to your light. Chapter 2. The nature of pain. When the soul speaks through suffering, pain has a voice. It doesn't speak in words, but in sensations, emotions, and energetic waves that move through the body and the field of your consciousness. The aching in your chest, the lump in your throat, the emptiness in your stomach. These are not random feelings. They are sacred signals. They are the language of the soul trying to communicate with the human self. When we talk about the spiritual purpose of pain, we are not romanticizing suffering. We are recognizing it as divine intelligence, a living force that exists to awaken consciousness. Pain shows up wherever truth is being denied. It's the echo that resonates through the layers of illusion, whispering, something inside you is asking to be seen. In ordinary human life, pain is treated as a malfunction, a problem to fix, an intruder to expel. But in the spiritual realm, pain is a messenger. It doesn't come to destroy. It comes to deliver a message that cannot be delivered in any other way. Have you ever noticed that pain only amplifies when you ignore it? Whether it's emotional pain or physical discomfort, the more you resist it, the louder it becomes. That's because resistance creates tension, and tension blocks the flow of energy. Pain, then, is energy trying to move through you but finding no exit. Think of it like water pressing against a dam. The more you tighten, the stronger the pressure becomes. But once you allow yourself to open, to feel, to breathe, to surrender, the water flows freely, and the dam begins to dissolve. 1. Pain is energy in motion. At its core, pain is simply energy, energy in motion. Emotions, too, are energy in motion. In fact, the word emotion itself comes from the Latin emovere, meaning to move out. So when you feel emotional pain, what's really happening is that energy from the past, often stored deep in the body and subconscious, is rising to the surface to be released. The twin flame connection activates this process at an accelerated rate. Why? Because the energy between twin Flames vibrates at such a high frequency that it shakes loose everything that isn't aligned with love. The wounds, fears, and old trauma that have been buried for lifetimes start to surface all at once. It's not cruelty, it's purification. This is why the pain in a twin flame connection feels so intense. It's not just this lifetime you're processing. It's ancient energy, karmic memory, and soul-level residue being transmuted through your system. You're not being punished. You're being emptied of what no longer serves your evolution. If you could see your energy field during these moments, you'd notice waves of dense frequencies rising to be cleansed by the light of your awareness. Every tear you cry, every shiver of grief, every night of longing, these are not setbacks. They are releases. 2. The hidden intelligence of pain. Pain, when seen from the eyes of the soul, is not random. It's precise. It shows up exactly where your soul wants to evolve. For example, the pain of rejection is the universe's way of teaching you self-worth. The pain of abandonment awakens your inner safety and self-reliance. The pain of silence teaches you to listen within. The pain of loss shows you impermanence, that love cannot be owned, only experienced. Pain is a master sculptor. It carves away what is false so that truth can shine through. You might ask, but why does it have to hurt so much? Because comfort doesn't create awakening. Growth demands movement, and movement requires friction. Friction is the rubbing of energies that don't yet harmonize. Your human ego resisting your soul's expansion. The discomfort is simply the sound of your transformation. Have you ever seen a butterfly emerge from a cocoon? It struggles, it trembles, it breaks through layers that once protected it. But if you were to cut open the cocoon to help it, the butterfly would never develop the strength in its wings to fly. The pain of that process is what gives it power. The same is true for you. Without the resistance, without the trembling, you wouldn't learn how to rise. 3. The twin flame mirror. Pain as reflection. In the twin flame dynamic, pain often feels like betrayal, but what you're really feeling is reflection. Your twin flame mirrors everything inside you that still vibrates with fear or lack. If you feel unworthy of love, they may appear distant, validating that belief until you choose to release it. If you fear abandonment, they may pull away, showing you where your attachment still controls you. If you suppress anger or grief, their actions might trigger those emotions to surface so they can finally be acknowledged. This is not cruelty. This is cosmic choreography. Your higher selves designed it this way. The pain isn't coming from them, but from the wounds within you that are now being illuminated by their light. It's like holding a mirror to your own face and realizing, maybe for the first time, that the person you thought was hurting you is really helping you remember the truth of who you are. And that truth is love. Always love. 4. Listening to the voice beneath the pain. When pain arises, the most healing thing you can do is listen. Not analyze, not judge, not escape, just listen. Sit in stillness and ask, where in my body do I feel this pain? If this feeling could speak, what would it say? What am I afraid to feel right now? You'll be surprised how much wisdom is hiding beneath the ache. Sometimes the pain says, please stop running from me. Sometimes it says, you've carried me long enough. Let me go. And sometimes it says nothing at all, it just wants to be witnessed. Witnessing is sacred. When you bring awareness to pain, you illuminate it with consciousness, and consciousness is love. Love doesn't need to fix. It simply holds. And that holding itself is healing. 5. The alchemy of acceptance. When you stop fighting pain, something miraculous happens. The energy begins to shift. The sharp edges soften. The heaviness begins to move. What was once unbearable becomes breathable. This is the moment of alchemy, when the dense vibration of pain transforms into the frequency of peace. Acceptance doesn't mean you like what happened. It means you recognize that it's part of your soul's design. You stop asking, why me? And start whispering, thank you for teaching me. That's when the pain's job is done. Pain's purpose is to awaken. Once you receive its message, it no longer needs to stay. 6. Pain as a portal to higher consciousness. At a certain point, you begin to realize that pain is not outside of you. It's energy within you asking to return to love. And as you meet that energy with awareness, you expand your consciousness. In those moments of deep stillness, the nights when your tears turn into prayer, something profound occurs. You begin to feel connected to something greater. You sense the divine intelligence orchestrating every heartbeat, every encounter, every lesson. You start to see that nothing was ever random. Not the separation, not the silence, not even the loneliness. Every fragment of pain was a breadcrumb leading you back to unity. With your twin flame, yes, but more importantly, with yourself and with Source. 7. The gift beneath the grief. All pain hides a gift. Sometimes that gift is clarity. Sometimes it's compassion. Sometimes it's courage. When you've walked through enough darkness, you become a light for others. You stop judging suffering, yours or anyone else's, because you understand its sacred purpose. You no longer fear pain, you respect it. Pain becomes your teacher, your ally, your compass pointing toward authenticity. So the next time you feel that ache in your heart, don't rush to fix it. Don't drown it in distraction. Place your hand over your chest and say, I hear you. I'm here now. Let's walk through this together. Because the truth is, pain has never been here to break you, only to break you open. Closing reflection. Pain is not a curse but a curriculum. It's the way your soul learns the language of love. The twin flame journey intensifies this process because it's not just about union with another being. It's about the union of your human and divine selves. When you begin to see pain as divine intelligence rather than a mistake, you unlock the deeper purpose of your existence. You begin to live from awareness, not reaction, from compassion, not control. And in that space, something extraordinary happens. You realize you were never truly suffering. You were transforming. Chapter 3. The Twin Flame Paradox. Why love triggers the deepest pain. Love. We all crave it. Yet few of us truly understand it, especially the kind of love that arrives through the twin flame connection. First, it feels divine. You meet someone and it's as if your soul finally exhales. After lifetimes of searching, there's recognition, warmth, and an inexplicable sense of home. You see yourself in their eyes, not just who you are now but who you've been across ages. But then, just when your heart opens the widest, something shifts. Distance creeps in. Misunderstandings arise. Triggers explode. The same person who awakened your highest joy suddenly becomes the mirror, reflecting your darkest fears. You feel abandoned, rejected, unworthy, and the intensity of that pain can feel unbearable. You ask, how can someone who feels like my other half hurt me this much? The answer lies in one of the greatest paradoxes of spiritual love. The deeper the connection, the deeper the cleansing. 1. Love as a catalyst for purification. In ordinary relationships, love often operates at the surface level, the exchange of affection, comfort, or companionship. But the twin flame bond goes far beyond that. It is not designed for comfort. It is designed for evolution. When your souls agreed to meet in this lifetime, they made a pact. We will help each other awaken, even if it breaks us open. That's why your twin flame doesn't just mirror your beauty. They mirror your wounds, every insecurity, every unhealed trauma, every shadow that's been hiding in the dark corners of your being. Their presence amplifies your energy field, and in that amplification, nothing can stay hidden. The light of love shines so brightly that it exposes the dust on the mirror. The pain you feel isn't because of what they did, it's because their energy brought to the surface what was already inside you waiting to be healed. This is why twin flame love often begins with ecstasy and ends with chaos. It's the natural process of purification. You are being refined by divine fire. 2. The mirror effect. Reflections, not rejections. The twin flame is a mirror, not a mistake. When they trigger you, they're not doing something to you. They're showing something within you. If your twin ignores you, it may be reflecting your own inner abandonment, the parts of yourself you've neglected for years. If they seem emotionally unavailable, it might mirror the walls you built to protect your heart. If they withdraw love, it could be because you still equate love with struggle, proving, or control. The mirror doesn't lie. And that's why it hurts. You're not just seeing them, you're seeing yourself, often for the first time without filters. Think of it this way. The twin flame connection is like holding a crystal up to sunlight. The light reveals every fracture inside the crystal, not to shame it, but to illuminate it. Every trigger is an invitation to heal, Every rejection a redirection toward self-love. But the human ego doesn't see it that way. The ego screams, "They're the problem. They hurt me." The soul, however, whispers, "They're your mirror. Look closer." The real work begins when you stop asking, "Why are they doing this to me?" and start asking, "What are they showing me about myself?" 3. When love meets ego, the spiritual collision. The moment your soul recognizes your twin, love awakens. But right alongside love, your ego starts to tremble. Because ego cannot survive in unconditional love. It thrives on control, validation, and separation. So what happens? The ego panics. It tries to protect you from what it perceives as danger, vulnerability, exposure, surrender. Says things like, "If you love them too much, you'll lose yourself. They're going to hurt you again. You need to pull away before they do." That's why the runner-chaser dynamic is so common in twin flame journeys. It's not that one person loves less, it's that their ego fears the intensity of the connection. The love between twin flames burns through illusions so quickly that the human mind struggles to keep up. It's like staring into the sun. It's too much light for eyes that have only known darkness. So one runs, the other chases. Pain intensifies. But beneath all of it, love remains steady, eternal, untouched. The chaos you experience on the surface is simply your human self learning to align with the frequency of your soul. 4. Triggers as portals to healing. A trigger is not punishment. It's a doorway. When your twin says or does something that sends you into emotional pain, that pain is not new, it's old. It's your inner child saying, "I remember this feeling. I've been abandoned before." That's why you can't heal twin flame pain by fixing the other person. The work is internal. You must go within and meet that wounded part of yourself with love. For example, if you feel unworthy because your twin pulled away, ask yourself, when was the first time I felt unworthy of love? What did I start believing about myself in that moment? Can I now offer that younger version of me the love I never received? In that moment of inner recognition, something sacred happens. You begin to reparent your own soul. You become the love you were seeking. And when you do that, the energy between you and your twin shifts. Because twin flame connections are energetic mirrors. Any healing you do within reflects outward. As you rise in self-love, the connection harmonizes. 5. The illusion of separation. The pain of separation in twin flame journeys is legendary. It feels like death itself. But that's precisely what it is. The death of illusion. When your twin is physically gone, your ego screams in despair. But your soul knows the truth. You are never truly apart. The love between twin flames exists beyond time, beyond space, beyond the physical form. What you're really mourning in separation is not the loss of them, it's the loss of the illusion that you needed them to be whole. The pain of their absence is the universe pulling you back toward your own center. This is where the real alchemy happens. You start realizing that the love you felt for them was never theirs. It was yours. They simply reflected the love already within you. When you grasp this, pain begins to dissolve. You no longer chase them to feel complete because you found completion within. 6. From reflection to integration. The twin flame mirror can be harsh, but it's never cruel. Once you learn to interpret it correctly, you start integrating instead of reacting. Integration means you take what the mirror shows and bring it into wholeness. If it shows you abandonment, you nurture yourself. If it shows you control, you surrender. If it shows you jealousy, you learn trust. If it shows you fear, you choose faith. This is how pain becomes wisdom, through conscious engagement. You stop blaming the mirror and start polishing it. Eventually, you realize that your twin isn't just mirroring your wounds. They're also reflecting your divinity. Their eyes don't only show your shadow, they reveal your infinite capacity for love, empathy, and transcendence. When you start seeing both reflections, the wound and the light, the relationship transforms from suffering into sacred union. 7. The higher perspective. Love as a spiritual technology. At a higher level, the twin flame journey is not about romance. It's about ascension. It's the universe's most advanced form of spiritual training. Through love, you learn surrender. Through pain, you learn compassion. Through loss, you learn connection beyond form. Your twin flame is the spark that ignites your inner fire. But it's that fire, not the person, that ultimately sets you free. So the paradox is this: love will hurt until you realize it was never meant to. The hurt is not love itself. It's the friction between your old self dying and your new self being born. Once the false layers fall away, love remains pure, quiet, radiant. That love doesn't demand or chase. Simply is. 8. Closing. Reflection. The gift behind the trigger. Every trigger you experience in your twin flame connection is a sacred invitation to look deeper, to feel fully, to love without conditions. Pain is not the enemy of love. It's the doorway to its higher form. The purpose of the twin flame relationship isn't to make you happy. It's to make you whole. And wholeness always begins with awareness. So the next time your heart aches, remember, you are not being punished, you are being polished. The mirror of your twin flame isn't there to wound you, but to return you to your own divine reflection. Because when you see yourself clearly, you finally see love clearly. And that's when the paradox ends. Chapter 4. Opening the heart. How pain becomes the key to compassion. When your heart breaks, it doesn't actually shatter, it expands. It's a paradox few understand until they've lived it. The deeper the pain, the wider the heart becomes. It's as if the universe uses heartbreak as a scalpel, delicately cutting away the layers of protection you built over lifetimes. Layers of fear, pride, defensiveness, and control. All peeled back to reveal something raw, trembling, and infinitely sacred underneath. Love in its purest form. You see, pain is not the opposite of love. Pain is what opens you to love. It is the pressure that cracks the shell around the heart so your soul can breathe again. In spiritual language, this is called the heart awakening. And every twin flame will experience it. 1. The anatomy of a closed heart. Before awakening, most of us live with guarded hearts. We say we want love, but we only want it on our terms, when it's safe, when it doesn't hurt, when it doesn't ask too much. We confuse protection with strength. We think shutting down makes us powerful, when in truth it only makes us disconnected. A closed heart can still function. It can work, socialize, and even fall in love. But that love is conditional. It says, "I'll love you if you love me back." It's love that fears rejection, that measures worth through response, that demands guarantees before surrender. The twin flame connection dismantles this illusion completely, because when you meet your mirror soul, no armor can withstand the intensity of that energy. The walls crumble. The heart is exposed. And for the first time you feel love that doesn't fit into human logic, vast, unconditional, terrifying in its magnitude. But the human self panics. The ego screams, "This is too much. It hurts." And so begins the sacred breaking open. 2. The sacred function of heartbreak. Heartbreak in its highest form is holy. It's not punishment. It's purification. When your heart breaks, it's not breaking because something went wrong. It's breaking because your soul has outgrown its old container. Think of a seed. Before it can sprout, it must crack open. The breaking isn't the end of the seed's life. It's the beginning of its transformation. Your heart is the same. The breaking is simply the sound of something new being born. When your twin flame leaves, when you face rejection or silence, it feels unbearable. You may cry until your body trembles. You may feel hollow, as if something vital has been ripped away. But what's really happening beneath the pain is an energetic expansion. Your heart chakra, energetic center of love, is being stretched open to contain more light, more compassion, more awareness. It's like an old doorway being widened so that divinity itself can pass through. In the process, every unhealed wound connected to love surfaces. Childhood neglect, past heartbreaks, ancestral patterns. It's overwhelming because you are purging lifetimes of density. Yet in that purging, something profound occurs. Your capacity to love grows beyond personal desire. You start to love not because of what someone gives you, but because it is your nature to love. 3. From conditional to unconditional love. Conditional love is transactional. I'll give when I receive. Unconditional love is transcendent. I give because I am love. Most of humanity operates within the first paradigm. We love when it's convenient, when it feels good, when it serves the self. But unconditional love, the kind awakened in twin flame dynamics, asks for something higher. It asks for surrender. Unconditional love says, even if you walk away, I bless you. Even if you never return, I still hold you in light. First, this seems impossible. How can you love someone who hurt you, who rejected you, who disappeared? But here's the secret. Unconditional love isn't about condoning behavior. It's about seeing the soul beyond the behavior. It's realizing that everything your twin did was part of the sacred design for your evolution. They didn't come to destroy you. They came to awaken you. And the pain you feel is the fire burning away everything that isn't love. 4. The heart as a portal of light. When the heart opens through pain, it becomes a portal, a direct channel between your human self and your divine self. At this stage, many people begin to experience heightened empathy. You start to feel the suffering of others as if it were your own. You cry for strangers. You see the hidden pain behind every angry word, every cold gesture. You begin to realize that everyone, even those who seem cruel, is carrying unhealed wounds. This is not weakness. It's divine perception. The open heart doesn't see with judgment. It sees with understanding. In spiritual terms, this is the activation of the higher heart chakra, located between the heart and throat, the bridge between compassion and expression. Once awakened, it turns pain into purpose. You begin to feel a calling to help, to heal, to create. Art, writing, music, or service all become ways to channel love. The pain that once silenced you now becomes your voice. 5. Compassion, the flower of the broken heart. True compassion doesn't grow in comfort. It blooms in the soil of suffering. When you felt deep pain, you can no longer look at another person's pain and say, just get over it. You know the darkness. You've walked through it. That knowledge softens you. It makes you gentler, wiser, more present. You stop trying to fix people and instead simply be with them, because you understand that presence itself is medicine. Compassion in its pure form is not pity. It's not superiority. It's love that sees all pain as sacred. Says, I see your suffering and I honor your journey. In twin flame terms, this compassion eventually extends to your counterpart. You no longer resent them for leaving or triggering you. You begin to see their pain too, the inner battles, the fear of love, the wounds they carry. You realize that just as your pain was your teacher, theirs is their own path to awakening. You can't walk it for them, but you can love them through it. Silently, energetically, unconditionally. 6. The alchemy of gratitude. One day, after countless nights of tears, something shifts. You wake up and feel gratitude not for the pain but through it. You start to say, thank you for breaking my heart, because it showed me how vast it truly is. Thank you for the silence, because it taught me to listen to my soul. Thank you for leaving, because it made me return to myself. That's the final stage of heart awakening. When gratitude replaces grief, you no longer see pain as an obstacle but as the very bridge that carried you home. This is the true meaning of transmutation. Pain doesn't disappear, it transforms. The wound remains, but it no longer bleeds, it glows. It becomes a sacred mark of your becoming. 7. The living heart, a temple of love. Once your heart has opened, you cannot go back to the smallness of before. You start living from a place of authenticity. You speak with softness, you forgive faster, you love deeper. The open heart becomes a living temple. Every breath, every word, every gesture infused with presence. People around you feel it. They sense safety, warmth, understanding. Without even trying, you become a healer. Because a healed heart doesn't need to preach, it radiates. And here's the profound truth. Your twin flame soul feels that radiance too. Even from miles away, they sense the shift in your energy. Because at the deepest level, your hearts are one. When your heart opens, it sends ripples through the entire field of your shared consciousness. That's how collective healing begins, one awakened heart at a time. 8. Closing reflection, pain as the doorway to love. So what if pain was never your enemy? What if it was the gatekeeper to the divine? When your heart breaks open, you begin to love not because you want to, but because you can't not. Love becomes the natural state of your being. You see beauty even in endings, divinity even in loss. That's what it means to awaken the heart. To realize that love was never outside of you, never dependent on another person's return. It has always been within, waiting to be remembered. Your pain did not destroy you. It initiated you. And now with an open heart, you walk the world differently, softer, wiser, luminous. You've turned suffering into compassion, heartbreak into healing, and pain into purpose. The universe smiles through you now, because you have become what you were always meant to be, love itself. Chapter 5. Transmuting Pain into Power. The spiritual practice of alchemy. Every soul on the twin flame journey eventually reaches a point where pain is no longer something to survive, but something to transform. It's the sacred turning point when you stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and begin whispering, "What is this trying to awaken within me?" This moment marks the birth of spiritual alchemy, the ancient art of turning darkness into light, wounds into wisdom, pain into power. Alchemy isn't about escaping your pain. It's about walking into its center and discovering the divine fire within it. The same fire that once burned you now becomes the force that illuminates your path. 1. Understanding spiritual alchemy. In traditional alchemy, the goal was to transform base metals into gold. But the mystics always knew that the true gold was within. Spiritual alchemy is the process of transforming the lead of human suffering, fear, shame, heartbreak, into the gold of higher consciousness. The formula is ancient yet simple. Awareness plus acceptance plus love equals transmutation. Awareness reveals the wound. Acceptance embraces it. Without judgment. Love dissolves its density and turns it into light. You don't need rituals, spells, or complex teachings. The real alchemy happens in the heart, in how you meet your pain. When you stop running, when you stop fighting, when you sit with your suffering as if it were a child who simply wants to be held, that's when the transformation begins. Pain is energy. Energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be transformed. That means every ounce of heartbreak, every tear you've cried, still carries power, waiting to be rechanneled into something sacred. 2. The shift from victim to creator. The first step in transmutation is the shift in identity. You are not a victim of your story, you are the alchemist of it. Victim consciousness says, "This happened to me." Alchemist consciousness says, "This happened for me." The moment you make that shift, everything changes. The same energy that once dragged you down begins to rise as creative force. You start realizing that your pain holds information, messages from your higher self, encoded in emotion. For example, the pain of rejection teaches self-worth. The pain of betrayal teaches discernment. The pain of loss teaches detachment and gratitude. Each wound is a doorway into mastery, but the door only opens when you stop blaming and start listening. Ask yourself, what is this pain asking me to remember about my power? What part of myself is being reborn through this experience? Every great transformation begins with this question. 3. The fire element. The power of presence. In alchemy, fire is the agent of transformation. It purifies, refines, and reshapes matter into something new. In spiritual terms, presence is that fire. When you bring full presence to your pain, when you feel it without running, name it without judgment, breathe through it without resistance, you are applying divine fire to dense energy. The pain begins to move, to shift, to melt. This is why meditation, breathwork, or simply sitting in silence is so powerful. They bring you into the now, where pain cannot survive as a story. Pain exists in memory or anticipation, but presence burns both. Try this simple practice. Sit quietly and place your hand on your heart. Breathe deeply into the area that hurts, emotionally or physically. Don't try to fix it. Just feel it. Stay with it like a loving guardian. Whisper inwardly, "I'm here. I'm listening. You're safe now." At first, the emotion might intensify, like fire roaring when it's fed air. But soon it softens. The energy begins to unwind. What felt like suffering becomes a gentle flow of warmth, the first sign of transmutation. 4. Turning emotional energy into creative expression. Pain is pure energy waiting for direction. Once you stop resisting it, you can channel it into creation. That's how art, music, poetry, and innovation are born. Every great creator has known this truth. Creativity is emotion transformed. write, paint, sing, dance, move your body, speak your truth. Don't worry about how it looks, worry about how it feels. Expression moves energy, and movement heals. When you create from pain, you're not escaping it. You're giving it a new form. You're allowing the soul to speak through color, sound, word, or motion. Rumi said, "The wound is the place where the light enters you, but it's also the place where the light flows through you. You become a vessel, the divine expressing itself through human imperfection. Your art, your voice, your story, they become medicine, not just for you but for others walking the same path." 5. Transforming pain into compassion and service. Once pain has been alchemized into wisdom, it naturally evolves into compassion. You begin to see that your suffering wasn't unique, it was universal. Everyone is fighting a battle you can't see, and that realization changes everything. You no longer feel the need to judge, to compete, to defend. Instead, you want to help, to heal, to serve. This is the sacred stage of service alchemy. You take the energy that once consumed you and use it to uplift others. You become a beacon of understanding, a healer through presence alone. Even the smallest gestures, a kind word, a listening ear, a gentle smile carry immense power when they come from a heart that has known pain. Because compassion born of experience vibrates at the highest frequency. It doesn't just comfort, it transforms. So when you see others suffering, don't look away. Look within, and let your healed parts become their mirror of hope. That's how pain fulfills its ultimate purpose, by becoming a channel of love. 6. Reclaiming power from the past. Every memory that once haunted you holds a piece of your power. Each time you revisit it with awareness and compassion, you reclaim that energy. It's as if your soul scattered fragments of light across your lifetime, and now through healing, you are gathering them back into wholeness. Forgiveness plays a central role here. Not as blind acceptance but as liberation. Forgiveness doesn't say, "It was okay." It says, "I no longer allow this to define me." When you forgive yourself, your twin, your past, you release the energetic cords that keep pain repeating. You pull your energy out of the story and bring it back into your center. And there, in that reclaimed power, you find peace. This is not forgetting. It's integration. The past stops being a wound and becomes wisdom. 7. The Phoenix Principle. The ancient symbol of the phoenix perfectly captures the alchemy of the twin flame journey. The bird burns in its own fire, reduced to ashes, yet from those ashes, it rises anew, more luminous than before. You are that phoenix. Every heartbreak, every sleepless night, every tear that fell, all of it was fire consuming the false. When the flames die down, what remains is indestructible, your soul in its naked truth. You realize you didn't lose anything real. You only lost illusions. What's left is authentic power, the power of self-love, awareness, compassion, and surrender. And from that power you rise, not as the same person, but as the embodiment of transformation itself. 8. Living as the alchemist. To live as the alchemist means to meet every challenge with awareness. You stop labeling experiences as good or bad. You see everything as energy, everything as opportunity. Pain, joy, fear, pleasure, they all become raw material for your evolution. You become conscious of your creative authority. You are not at the mercy of life. Life is responding to your vibration. From this perspective, nothing is wasted. Every ending carries a beginning. Every loss carries a gift. Every tear carries light. You begin to walk differently, not with arrogance but with quiet confidence. You know now that no matter what happens, you can transmute it. You have the power to turn every storm into fuel for awakening. That is true mastery. 9. Closing reflection, the gold within. So, what is the ultimate purpose of pain? It is to reveal the gold within you. Pain strips away illusion until only truth remains. It humbles you, refines you, and reminds you that you are made of something far stronger than fear. You've learned that love and pain are not opposites. They are two phases of the same transformation. Pain cracks you open. Love fills the space. And once you've tasted this alchemy, you can never see life the same way again. You've turned wounds into wisdom, loss into strength, tears into light. And now, as you stand in that golden glow, you understand, pain was never meant to end you. It was meant to begin you. Chapter 6. The Rebirth of the Soul. When the light replaces the ego. Every ending, no matter how painful, carries within it the seed of a new beginning. After walking through the fires of heartbreak, after surrendering to pain and transmuting it into light, something extraordinary happens. You are reborn. This rebirth is not a sudden event. It unfolds quietly, like dawn after the longest night. You start to notice that the same things which once triggered you now bring peace. The silence that once tormented you becomes sacred. The person who once caused your tears becomes your greatest teacher. You begin to realize that the you, who entered the fire, the fearful, reactive, wounded self, no longer exists. In its place stands someone new, softer, wiser, luminous. The soul has reclaimed the throne once occupied by the ego. This is not just transformation. This is resurrection. 1. The death before. Rebirth. In spiritual awakening, every rebirth is preceded by a death. Not physical but psychological. The death of illusions. The death of false identities. The death of the ego's need to control, to possess, to be right. For a long time you might have resisted this process. The ego, after all, believes it is you. It fears its own disappearance. Clings to stories, to names, to pain. Because without them it cannot exist. That's why, during the darkest nights of your twin flame journey, it felt as though you were dying. You were. But what was dying was not your true self, it was everything that was not you. The pain, the emptiness, the loss, these were the contractions before spiritual birth. Just as a mother labors in pain before delivering life, your soul used pain as the force of creation. When the ego finally surrenders, it feels like falling into nothingness. But that nothingness is not void, it's vastness. It's peace. It's you returning to yourself. 2. What it means to live without ego. To live without ego doesn't mean you lose your identity. It means you stop identifying with limitation. You no longer believe every thought, chase every emotion, or define yourself by external validation. When ego ruled, your happiness depended on outcomes. If my twin returns, I'll feel whole. If my career succeeds, I'll feel worthy. If I'm loved, I'll feel safe. Now you begin to experience a subtler truth. Wholeness doesn't depend on anything outside of you. It is you. You find contentment not in control but in flow. You stop demanding life to conform to your expectations and start dancing with its rhythm. This is freedom, not the freedom to do whatever you want, but the freedom from needing anything to be different than it is. You've realized that life is not happening to you or even for you. Life is happening as you. 3. The light of awareness. The soul doesn't fight darkness, it illuminates it. When the light of awareness becomes your foundation, fear can no longer survive. It dissolves like mist in the morning sun. You begin to see that everything, even the most painful moments, was part of a divine choreography. Every separation, every loss, every silence was a sacred step leading you back to truth. Awareness is the state where you no longer get lost in stories. Thoughts come and go. Emotions rise and fall. Yet something within remains unmoved, the witness. That witness is your soul. It watches without judgment, loves without condition, and exists beyond time. Living from that awareness is what it means to live as the soul. You no longer seek light because you are light. You no longer chase love because you radiate love. 4. Signs of soul rebirth. How do you know you've been reborn? It doesn't announce itself with fanfare. It reveals itself through stillness. You'll know because you feel peace even in uncertainty. You respond instead of reacting. You forgive without needing an apology. You stop craving validation because love itself flows through you. You see beauty where you once saw loss. The old patterns no longer tempt you. The need to prove, to chase, to fix gone. You trust timing. You trust silence. You trust yourself. And perhaps most beautifully, you begin to sense your twin flame not as a missing piece, but as an eternal companion. In spirit, whether they are beside you or across worlds, you feel their essence within you. Because now, you finally understand union was never about two bodies meeting, it was about two souls. Remembering they were never apart. 5. The return to wholeness. The greatest irony of the twin flame journey is that the separation you feared most was the illusion that saved you. forced you to find within what you were seeking outside. When you stop needing your twin to complete you, something miraculous happens. The energy between you harmonizes. The more you embody your divine essence, the more the connection transforms from longing into serenity. This is wholeness, not a perfect state but a balanced one. You embrace your humanness and your divinity equally. You stop rejecting your emotions or idolizing your light. Everything within you becomes sacred. You begin to live in alignment with your higher self, guided by intuition, grounded in trust, flowing in surrender. Every breath becomes an act of worship, every heartbeat a reminder. I am one with life itself. 6. The world through new eyes. After the ego dies, you see the world differently. What once appeared chaotic now reveals perfect symmetry. What once felt unfair now feels necessary. You see others not as separate beings, but as mirrors of the same light. You recognize the divine even in those still trapped in fear because you remember being there too. Compassion flows effortlessly. Your relationship with time also changes. You stop rushing. You stop waiting. You begin to live in presence, the eternal now. Because the soul knows. There is nowhere to go, nothing to achieve, nothing to lose. All is unfolding exactly as it should. This is why enlightened beings radiate serenity. It's not because their lives are easy, but because they no longer resist what is. Resistance is the root of suffering. Acceptance is the root of peace. 7. The birth of purpose. Rebirth brings clarity. Not only about who you are, but why you're here. The fog of pain lifts, revealing the deeper mission your soul chose long before this lifetime. You begin to feel called to share what you've learned. Not from ego, but from compassion. You realize that your healing was never just for you. It was preparation to become a guide, a light for others walking their own dark nights. Purpose doesn't always mean grand gestures. Sometimes it's the quiet smile you give to a stranger, the calm presence you bring into a room, the words you speak that touch a heart at the perfect moment. Your energy becomes your purpose. Your existence becomes service. Simply being who you are, authentic, aware, alive, is the greatest offering you can give the world. 8. The twin flame union. Within. The final stage of the twin flame journey is inner union. It's the merging of divine feminine and divine masculine energies within you. Intuition and action, surrender and strength. Being and becoming. When these energies balance, you no longer seek completion outside. You live from harmony within. You are both the lover and the beloved, both the student and the master. From this wholeness, outer union, if it aligns with your soul path, happens naturally. But whether it does or not, it no longer matters. Because the ultimate reunion has already occurred inside you. This is the secret few understand. You do not come into union to feel whole. You feel whole, and union unfolds as a reflection of that. 9. Living as light. To live as the soul is to live as light, unshakable, radiant, and free. You don't deny darkness. You illuminate it. You don't seek love. You become it. Every challenge that comes your way now is met with grace. You trust that pain is just energy seeking transformation, and you have mastered the art of alchemy. You no longer fear the fire because you are the fire. You walk this earth as a conscious being, awake in a sleeping world. Not perfect but whole. Not detached but deeply compassionate. You embody the truth that all separation is illusion, that every soul is a reflection of the same source. This is enlightenment. Not an escape from humanity, but the full embrace of it. You are spirit wearing skin, eternity breathing through form. 10. Closing reflection, the quiet miracle. In the stillness of your rebirth, you realize something profound. All along, you were never trying to become more. You were remembering what you already are. Pain didn't break you. It broke open the shell around your truth. Loss didn't destroy you. Stripped away everything false. The twin flame didn't abandon you. They guided you back home to yourself. And now you live not as the seeker but as the found. Not as the wounded but as the healer. Not as the ego trying to survive, but as the soul choosing to shine. This is the true union. This is the purpose of pain. You have walked through the fire. And you emerged not burned but born anew. A living embodiment of divine light, here to remind others that even in the deepest darkness, we are never truly apart. and we are never without love. Chapter 7. Living in Alignment. How to stay in soul consciousness after awakening. Rebirth is not the end of the journey. It's the beginning of a new way of living. After the storms have calmed and the fire of transformation has subsided, what remains is peace. A peace so deep that it feels almost unfamiliar. Yet this peace is fragile in the beginning. The ego, though dissolved, is not gone forever. It lurks in the corners of your awareness, waiting for opportunities to reclaim control. Living in alignment means maintaining the state of soul consciousness in a world that constantly tempts you back into illusion. It's not about being perfect. It's about remembering moment by moment who you truly are. It's about walking the earth as spirit in human form, grounded yet infinite, compassionate yet strong. 1. The subtle return of the ego. After awakening, you might believe you're beyond the ego's reach. But the truth is, the ego doesn't die. It transforms. It becomes quieter, subtler, more cunning. It no longer screams through pain. It whispers through pride. You may hear thoughts like, I'm more awakened than others. I've healed everything. I'll never fall again. I must stay positive all the time to prove I'm spiritual. These are ego's new disguises: spiritual superiority, denial of emotion, attachment to light. The moment you believe you're done evolving, growth stops. Alignment, therefore, requires humility. True awakening is not about transcending your humanity. It's about integrating your divinity into your humanity. You still feel emotions. You still face challenges. But now, you meet them with awareness rather than resistance. The ego thrives in unconsciousness, but it dissolves in the light of observation. So when it whispers, don't fight it, witness it. Smile gently and say, I see you. The simple act of seeing prevents you from becoming it. 2. The daily practice of presence. Ding. Aligned with your soul is less about grand spiritual rituals and more about simple, consistent presence. Each day, pause and breathe. Feel your feet on the ground. Listen to the rhythm of your own heart. The mind may race to the past or the future, but the soul only exists here, in this moment. Presence is your anchor. When you are present, you are untouchable by fear. When you are present, pain cannot pull you backward, and anxiety cannot push you forward. Even the most mundane acts can become portals into alignment. Washing dishes, walking under sunlight, holding someone's hand. When done with awareness, these small actions become sacred. You don't have to escape the world to remain spiritual. You just have to bring the sacred into the world. 3. Listening to the body. The temple of the soul. Your body is not separate from your spiritual journey. It is the temple through which the soul experiences life. Many forget this after awakening, trying to live only above the body, but true alignment is grounded. Your body speaks the language of energy. Fatigue, tension, illness. These are messages, not malfunctions. When you ignore them, you disconnect from alignment. When you listen, you return to flow. Treat your body as a partner in consciousness. Eat with gratitude. Move with joy. Rest when needed. Meditation doesn't always mean sitting still. Sometimes it means dancing until your soul feels free. When you love your body, you anchor your light into matter. That's how heaven touches earth, through you. 4. Relationships as mirrors of alignment. Even after awakening, relationships remain your greatest teachers. The people in your life, friends, family, your twin flame, continue to reflect the state of your inner alignment. If you fall into conflict, it doesn't mean you've lost your light. It simply reveals where love still wants to grow. Every trigger becomes an invitation. Can I respond with awareness instead of reaction? Can I choose understanding over judgment? Can I see this person through the eyes of my soul? Alignment doesn't mean everyone around you changes. It means your perception changes. You no longer demand others to heal for your peace. You find peace regardless of their state. This doesn't mean you tolerate mistreatment or suppress boundaries. On the contrary, alignment gives you clarity. You can love someone deeply and still walk away if the energy no longer resonates. Love, when awakened, is free of attachment but full of truth. Every connection becomes a mirror showing you how much love you can hold, not just for others but for yourself. 5. The balance between doing and being. After awakening, many struggle with the question, How do I live in the world without losing my spiritual center? The answer lies in balance, the sacred dance between doing and being. Before awakening, you might have lived in constant doing, chasing goals, approval, or security. After awakening, the temptation is to swing to the opposite extreme. Pure being, detaching from worldly life. But alignment is the middle way. You act, but your actions flow from presence, not pressure. You create, but you don't attach to results. You serve, but you don't seek validation. This is divine action. Effortless yet effective, powerful yet peaceful. When your doing is infused with being, everything becomes meditation. Your work, your art, your words, your rest. You're no longer performing life. You're participating in it, fully conscious. 6. The role of silence. In solitude, silence is not emptiness, it is fullness. It is the sound of your soul breathing. After awakening, solitude becomes sacred. It's not loneliness. It's communion with the divine within. It's the space where intuition whispers and energy renews. You may find that you crave quiet more often. Not because you dislike people, but because noise dilutes clarity. In silence, you reconnect with your higher self. You hear guidance not as a voice but as a knowing. You begin to trust that knowing above all else. Make time for silence daily, even for 5 minutes. It resets your energy and reminds you of what's real. The more you rest in silence, the more the world's chaos loses its grip. 7. The discipline of returning. Alignment is not a permanent state. It's a practice of returning. There will be days when you forget, when you fall into fear or old habits. That's okay. Falling out of alignment is not failure. It's feedback. It shows you where love still wants to grow. The key is awareness. The faster you notice misalignment, the easier it is to return. Pause. Breathe. Ask gently, where am I right now, in ego or in soul? If the answer is ego, smile. Don't judge yourself. Simply shift. Awareness itself is the bridge. This is how mastery develops, not by never falling, but by remembering to rise again and again. 8. The flow of synchronicity. When you live in alignment, the universe begins to speak in a new language, synchronicity. You'll notice repeating numbers, serendipitous encounters, perfect timing. These are not coincidences, they're confirmations. They're signs that your frequency matches your destiny. In alignment, life stops feeling like a struggle. You don't chase opportunities, they flow to you. The right people, experiences, and lessons appear effortlessly. This doesn't mean challenges disappear. It means even challenges arrive as teachers, not punishments. You learn to trust divine timing completely. You no longer push, you allow. You move from forcing life to flowing with life. 9. Living with an open heart. The awakened path is not about escaping pain but keeping your heart open. Through it, life will still test you, loss, change, impermanence. But the open heart no longer closes. It breathes through the ache, trusting that love remains beneath every experience. To live in alignment is to live undefended, not naive but courageous. It's the willingness to love fully, even when love breaks you open again. Because now you know, breaking is not the end. It's expansion. Every challenge becomes another chance to embody compassion. Every moment another opportunity to live as love. 10. Closing reflection, the art of remembering. Living in soul. Consciousness is not a constant high. It's an art, the art of remembering who you are when the world forgets. You will still feel sadness, anger, desire, joy, but they no longer control you. They move through you like waves passing through an ocean that remains still at its depths. You've learned to navigate life as the observer and the participant, both divine and human. You no longer seek escape. You seek embodiment. And that is the ultimate purpose of awakening. Not to float away from this world, but to live fully within it, radiating presence wherever you go. Because when you live in alignment, every breath becomes a prayer, every act a blessing, every moment a homecoming. This is soul consciousness in motion, love living as you. Chapter 8. Union. Beyond form. How collective healing emerges through twin flame awakening. When you awaken through the twin flame journey, something profound happens. Your transformation no longer belongs only to you. Every tear you release, every fear you dissolve, every fragment of light you reclaim becomes part of something much greater. Your personal healing merges into the healing of the collective. The deeper truth is this: twin flame union was never meant to end at two souls finding each other. Its purpose was always to awaken love powerful enough to heal the world. It begins as a personal story, but it expands into a cosmic one. You are not just loving another person. You are embodying a frequency, a vibration of unconditional love that raises consciousness for all of humanity. 1. The ripple effect of healing. Energy is contagious. The moment your frequency shifts, everyone connected to you feels it. This is not poetic metaphor. It's energetic law. When you transmute pain into love, that vibration ripples outward. Like a stone dropped in a still pond, your healing creates waves that touch the lives of people you may never meet. Think about it: when you show compassion, instead of judgment, you shift not just your relationship but the energetic field around you. When you forgive, you release generations of inherited pain. When you choose peace in the face of chaos, you become an anchor for others to find calm. The twin flame journey accelerates this ripple effect because it works on such high frequencies. The bond between twin flames acts like a tuning fork for humanity. When one heals, the vibration echoes across the field of consciousness. So your inner work is never selfish. Every time you meditate, forgive, love yourself, or release fear, you are performing planetary service. You are helping Earth itself evolve. 2. Love as an evolutionary force. We often think of evolution in physical terms: stronger bodies, smarter minds. But true evolution is energetic. Humanity evolves when consciousness expands, and love is the catalyst of that expansion. Love is not just an emotion. It's the fundamental frequency of creation, the glue holding galaxies together, the intelligence that animates life. When you awaken to divine love through your twin flame, you reconnect to that frequency consciously. You begin to remember what the soul has always known. We are all threads of the same divine fabric. This realization changes everything. You no longer see others as separate. You see reflections of the same essence. Judgment fades. Compassion deepens. This is how love evolves consciousness. Not through dogma or control, but through remembrance. Every heart that remembers its own divinity becomes a beacon, guiding others toward theirs. And that is why the twin flame connection feels so intense. It is not personal love alone. It is the universe using you as a vessel to anchor divine love into the physical realm. 3. From personal awakening to collective service. After awakening, your priorities shift. You no longer chase union to soothe loneliness. You seek to serve from fullness. You start asking questions like, how can I use my story to inspire others? How can I turn my pain into wisdom that helps the world? How can I bring more light into the spaces I touch? This is the moment when your twin flame journey transforms into mission. Many twin flames feel a deep soul calling to teach, to heal, to create, to protect the earth, to build bridges between people. Whatever form it takes, the essence is the same: love in action. You realize that your reunion with your twin, physical or energetic, was never the end goal. It was preparation. A training ground for unconditional love so you could become a conduit of it for the collective. When love matures, it no longer seeks ownership. It seeks expression. And through that expression, the world changes. 4. The web of light. Across the globe, souls are awakening in waves, many through twin flame connections. It may feel like chaos on the surface, but beneath it, a new grid of consciousness is forming, a web of light. Each awakened soul becomes a node in this luminous network, transmitting higher frequencies into the planetary field. These frequencies dissolve dense energies, fear, division, hate, and replace them with coherence, unity, and compassion. You might notice yourself drawn to people you've never met, yet feel intimately connected to. That's because your energy fields are aligning. You're part of the same mission, different forms, same essence. You are not alone in this work. Every act of forgiveness, every breath of love adds light to this grid. Together, we are reweaving the collective heart of humanity. 5. Healing the masculine and feminine collective. One of the greatest gifts of twin flame awakening is the healing of the divine masculine and feminine energies, not just within individuals, but within the collective consciousness. For centuries, the masculine has been distorted into dominance, control, suppression. The feminine has been twisted into submission, fear, silence. Both have been wounded, and both are longing for reunion. Twin flame dynamics bring these wounds to the surface. You may embody one polarity, your twin the other. Through your healing, you balance those forces within yourself and by extension within the collective. Every time you honor your feelings, you heal the wounded feminine. Every time you take aligned action with integrity, you heal the wounded masculine. As you merge these energies within, you create a blueprint for the world, a model of partnership rooted in harmony, not hierarchy. This balance ripples through relationships, families, and societies. It starts with two souls, but its impact is planetary. 6. Unity consciousness, the end of us and them. Union beyond form means seeing through the illusion of separation. When you live from unity consciousness, you stop dividing life into categories light/dark, good/bad, me/you. You begin to see that everything is the same divine essence expressing itself in countless forms. The enemy you once feared is a teacher. The stranger you ignored is another aspect of you. Even the pain you once cursed was love in disguise, guiding you home. This awareness births a new kind of compassion, one that includes everything. You stop trying to fix the world by force. Instead, you elevate it by embodying love. In the field of unity, healing happens organically, because what is recognized as one cannot attack itself. When you heal separation within, you dissolve it without. 7. The role of twin flames in the new earth. Twin flames are not special, they are responsible. They came to model a new way of being. Their union, whether physical or energetic, demonstrates to humanity what love looks like when freed from fear and possession. They embody divine partnership, a sacred exchange of freedom and trust. In this new paradigm, relationships are not cages but catalysts. They are not about ownership but expansion. Every twin flame walking in alignment contributes to the birth of the new earth, a planet vibrating at the frequency of love, authenticity, and balance. So if you ever feel alone in your journey, remember, you are part of something cosmic. Every act of healing is an offering to the collective ascension. You are one spark in a rising constellation of light. 8. Collective healing through presence. Perhaps the most powerful contribution you can make is not what you do, but who you are. When you live in alignment, present, open-hearted, authentic, your energy radiates peace. People feel it. Spaces shift because of it. This is the silent revolution. You don't need to convince or convert anyone. Just by existing in your truth, you recalibrate the frequency of your surroundings. Presence is the purest form of activism. Love is the highest form of leadership. You heal the collective not by fighting darkness, but by being so luminous that darkness forgets itself in your presence. 9. The infinite cycle of giving and receiving. When you give love to the world, it doesn't deplete you, it multiplies. The universe operates on reciprocity. The energy you release returns magnified because the collective is not separate from you. The more love you give, the more love you experience. The more peace you create, the more peace surrounds you. This is how the universe sustains the awakened. Through flow, not effort. You no longer chase abundance. You become the frequency of abundance. In serving the collective, you serve yourself because you are part of the whole. 10. Closing reflection. Love's true mission. In the beginning, the twin flame journey felt personal, a love story between two souls. But now you see it for what it truly is. A love story between the divine and creation itself. You were never just meant to find your other half. You were meant to become whole so that the world could remember its wholeness too. Your union, whether in the physical or the etheric, was never about possession. It was about transmission. Through your love, humanity remembers love. Through your healing, Earth remembers light. This is union beyond form. Love no longer contained between two hearts, but flowing through all hearts. A collective heartbeat of awakening, pulsing across time and space. And in that moment of realization, you finally understand you were never just two souls. You were always one love, expressing itself through infinite forms. Chapter 9. Embodied Enlightenment. Living love in the physical world. Awakening for many once felt like an escape, a flight into light, a transcendence of the heavy, confusing, emotional human experience. But real enlightenment was never meant to pull you out of life. It was meant to bring you fully into it. The purpose of awakening is not to float above the world, but to root your divinity into it, to make the invisible visible, to bring heaven to earth through your very presence. This is embodied enlightenment, the art of living love not as an idea, but as a lived, breathing reality. It's about turning spirituality from a theory into texture, into sound, into skin. It's about living so consciously that even the simplest moments, washing your hands, speaking to a stranger, or breathing under sunlight, become sacred acts of creation. 1. The paradox of returning. After the great expansion of awakening, there comes a quieter stage, the return. It feels strange at first, like coming back to an old world with new eyes. You're still human, yet no longer the same. You notice the pace of society, the noise, the rush, the obsession with productivity, and it feels foreign. You watch people chase validation, drown in distraction, argue about illusions. Sometimes you miss the stillness of your cocoon, that sacred inner world where you first met your soul. But this is the test of integration. Can you remain awake while participating in the human story? Can you hold your frequency not just in meditation but in traffic, at work, in conflict, in love? The spiritual path doesn't end in the mountain monastery or the silent retreat. It continues in the marketplace, in the family dinner, in the moments when you're tired and impatient. Enlightenment becomes real when it meets reality. You were never meant to stay hidden in light. You were meant to bring light into the shadows. 2. The body as a bridge between heaven and earth. Your body is not a prison for your soul. It is the vessel that allows spirit to experience life in form. For too long, humanity has viewed the body as something to overcome or escape. But in truth, the body is holy. Every heartbeat, every breath, every cell vibrates with the intelligence of creation. When you move consciously, eat mindfully, or breathe fully, you align the physical with the spiritual. This is why embodiment matters. Enlightenment that isn't grounded becomes fantasy. You can have the most transcendent visions, but if your body is disconnected, those visions will never take root. So love your body. Let it be your temple, your teacher. Notice how it responds to truth, the warmth in your chest when something resonates, the tension in your stomach when something feels off. These are not random sensations. They are the language of intuition. When the body and soul unite in awareness, every gesture becomes a prayer. 3. Love in action. Embodied enlightenment is not about perfection. It's about presence in motion. Love is no longer something you feel, it's something you do. You hold a door open. You listen without interrupting. You forgive before being asked. You smile at a stranger even when you're exhausted. These acts may seem small, but energetically, they ripple outward into eternity. Each time you choose kindness over reaction, you anchor light into matter. Each time you meet conflict with calm, you teach the world a new rhythm. The enlightened soul doesn't preach love. It becomes love silently in every breath. This is where spirituality becomes art. The art of responding with consciousness, the art of finding the divine hidden in the mundane. 4. The discipline of balance. After awakening, many people swing between extremes, moments of radiant inspiration followed by deep fatigue or frustration. That's because integration requires balance. The human nervous system was not built to hold cosmic awareness overnight. You must learn to pace your light, to balance the mystical with the mundane. Grounding practices, walking barefoot, journaling, connecting with nature, caring for your home, help stabilize energy. Routine becomes ritual when done consciously. Eating, resting, cleaning. These are not chores but opportunities to practice presence. Balance also means allowing yourself to feel human emotions. Enlightenment doesn't erase sadness, anger, or desire. It transforms your relationship with them. You no longer suppress or overindulge. You witness and release. When you live this way, life stops being a series of problems to fix and becomes a flow of experiences to honor. 5. The heart is compass. In the embodied state, the mind no longer leads, the heart does. The heart, not logic, becomes your compass. It knows the way, not because it calculates but because it feels truth. Before awakening, you may have made choices based on fear or expectation. After awakening, you move from resonance You choose the path that feels like expansion, not contraction. The heart speaks softly through intuition, synchronicity, and emotion. When you trust it, life unfolds in alignment. When you ignore it, resistance appears. To live from the heart is to live in faith. Not blind faith, but embodied trust that life supports your evolution. 6. Sacred relationships in the physical realm. When two awakened souls meet again, after their inner union, their connection becomes something beyond romance. It becomes a field of creation. This is true for twin flames, soulmates, or any conscious partnership. The relationship becomes a practice, a living meditation. Each person serves as mirror and muse, teacher and student. Arguments still happen, but they become invitations to deepen presence. Boundaries still exist, but they're built from self-respect, not fear. Passion still burns, but it's no longer possessive, it's devotional. Embodied love means you can hold space for another's humanity while staying rooted in your divinity. You no longer lose yourself in love. You find more of yourself through it. In this kind of union, the spiritual and physical become one dance, sacred, sensual, eternal. 7. The soul at work. Your purpose after awakening is not confined to spiritual teaching or healing. It could express through design, parenting, business, science, art, or activism. The form doesn't matter, the frequency does. When you bring consciousness into what you do, it becomes service. You don't have to quit your job or move to a monastery to live your purpose. Purpose is not found in a title. It's found in how you show up. An awakened teacher might stand on a stage. An awakened parent might raise a child in love. An awakened cashier might radiate peace to hundreds of strangers. Daily. The world doesn't need more preachers of light. It needs living examples of light in action. Work is no longer about achievement. It's about alignment. You do what resonates. You give what you can, and you trust the flow of reciprocity. The energy you give always finds its way back, multiplied. 8. Living through the seasons of life. Embodied enlightenment does not mean constant bliss. Even the awakened experience cycles. Times of expansion and contraction, inspiration and stillness. You might feel deeply connected one day and disoriented the next. That's okay. The soul flows like the ocean, waves rise, waves fall. Yet the depth remains unchanged. Instead of labeling experiences as high or low, see them as seasons. Spring of growth, summer of joy. Autumn of letting go, winter of stillness. Every season serves your evolution. This acceptance is maturity, spiritual emotional intelligence. You stop chasing perpetual light and learn to love the dark for what it teaches. Peace doesn't mean avoiding storms. It means knowing you are the sky that holds them. 9. The embodied light in the collective. When you live as an embodied being, your presence becomes a subtle transmission. You no longer need to convince others of truth. You are truth quietly radiating through the field. You inspire by example. Your calm becomes contagious. Your authenticity gives others permission to be real. This is how global transformation happens, not through force but through frequency. The more people who live as embodied light, the more the collective field stabilizes. You don't need to fix the world. You need to become the wholeness the world forgot. That's the true revolution, one heart at a time remembering its own divinity. 10. Closing reflection, heaven in human form. Embodied enlightenment is the final synthesis of the twin flame journey. The realization that divinity and humanity were never separate. The light you sought in meditation, the peace you longed for in separation. It was all within your breath, your heartbeat, your body. To live love in the physical world means to look at life and whisper, I see God here too. In laughter and in grief. In sunrise and in city noise. In the eyes of a stranger and in your own reflection. You are no longer searching for heaven. You are living it. Every step you take, every word you speak, every act of kindness you give. They build the new world, not somewhere else but here in this moment through you. This is the destiny of awakening. To be fully human, fully divine, fully alive. Chapter 10: The Infinite Journey. Love without end. There is a quiet moment at the end of every great transformation. A moment when you look around and realize there is no ending at all. The spiral of awakening doesn't conclude. It widens. The path doesn't stop, it deepens. You haven't reached the final destination of enlightenment. You've simply arrived at another beginning. This is the truth few tell you at the start of the twin flame journey. Awakening is infinite. Love is infinite. Growth is infinite. You never arrive. You only continue, expanding into greater and greater expressions of who you truly are. The eternal consciousness experiencing itself through time, form, and relationship. And in this realization you feel both humility and awe. You see that every ending was a doorway, every lesson a seed of another unfolding. The love that once seemed to belong to one person now stretches beyond all boundaries. It becomes cosmic, a love that holds galaxies, humanity, and every breath of creation in its embrace. 1. Beyond arrival. For most of the journey you believed there would be a finish line, a moment when everything would make sense, when all pain would vanish, when love would finally complete. But awakening laughs softly at that idea. The deeper you go, the more you realize that completion is not a moment, it's a movement. Every realization opens another layer. Every peace you find leads to deeper peace. Every love you feel reveals even greater love. The universe is infinite, therefore, so are you. You cannot finish infinity. You can only dance with it. This realization removes pressure. You stop chasing perfection and start celebrating process. You no longer measure progress by external milestones, reunion, success, recognition. You measure it by the quality of presence, by how gently you hold yourself and others through each new expansion. There is no final exam in awakening. There is only continuous remembering. 2. The eternal expansion of love. In the early stages, love felt personal. It revolved around one person, one face, one story. That was necessary. The universe needed a mirror to draw you in, to awaken the spark. But once your consciousness expands, you begin to feel love as a field, not a focus. It becomes the air you breathe. It moves through your words, your hands, your silence. You begin to love not because of who someone is to you, but because love itself flows through you naturally. This is unconditional love in its purest expression, not attachment, not desire, but divine recognition. When you look into the eyes of another, you don't see difference. You see self. You see God meeting God. And you realize, love never needed a target. It only needed permission to flow. This is what mystics call divine union, the merging of lover and beloved until only love remains. 3. The spiral of learning. Even after enlightenment, life continues to teach. Pain doesn't disappear forever. It returns, but softer, clearer, transformed. It no longer destroys you. It refines you. Every new challenge becomes a mirror of the next level of mastery. Old wounds may reappear, but now you meet them with awareness instead of fear. You no longer say, "Why is this happening again?" But rather, "What is this showing me?" Now, you understand that the universe teaches in spirals, not lines. You return to similar lessons, but each time from a higher vantage point. What once broke you now bends you gently toward wisdom. There is beauty in this endless unfolding. It keeps the heart humble, the soul curious, and the spirit alive. 4. The dance of light and shadow. Many believe awakening means the disappearance of shadow. But true mastery is not about eliminating darkness. It's about integrating it. The shadow is not your enemy. It's your unexpressed potential. It carries the creative power of the universe. Raw, untamed, waiting to be transformed into light. When you embrace your shadow, you become whole. You stop pretending to be only light, and instead you embody truth, the full spectrum of existence. Every time you acknowledge fear without shame, anger without judgment, vulnerability without resistance, you bring love into places it has never been before. That's what enlightenment truly is, the fearless inclusion of everything. The universe itself is built from this dance of opposites, light and dark, creation and destruction, stillness and motion. To love infinitely is to honor both. 5. The twin flame energy in eternal motion. The connection that awakened you doesn't vanish. It evolves. The twin flame bond is eternal energy. It cannot end, only transform. Even if you and your twin no longer walk side by side, the love continues to weave through your lives like golden threads linking your growth. Sometimes you'll feel them in dreams, in moments of intuition, in sudden waves of warmth that arrive for no reason. This isn't obsession, it's resonance. You are two notes of the same divine chord, vibrating through time and space. Each of you grows, learns, and expands, sending ripples of light that reach the other whether you speak or not. And one day, perhaps lifetimes from now, those ripples merge once more in the physical. But by then it won't matter, because the union already exists in every heartbeat, in every breath of the infinite now. You understand now that separation was never real. It was the illusion, necessary for remembrance. 6. Love as a living frequency. When you live as awakened love, your energy becomes medicine. You heal by existing. Your presence soothes without words. You no longer seek to teach or save. You simply radiate. People and circumstances shift naturally around you, drawn into coherence by your field. This is what ancient masters meant when they said, "Be the light." Light doesn't argue with darkness. It simply shines until the room remembers itself. You start to see that everything in creation is frequency. Words, thoughts, actions, all are vibrations shaping reality. The more aligned you are with love, the more your external world reflects harmony. Miracles stop feeling miraculous. They become normal, because love itself is the most natural state of being. 7. Co-creating with the divine. As you stabilize in higher consciousness, you begin to co-create consciously with the universe. You no longer manifest from desire alone, you manifest from alignment. You don't ask, "What do I want?" You ask, "What does love want to express through me?" And when you follow that guidance, life unfolds with ease. Doors open. Opportunities flow. Synchronicities multiply. Creation becomes play. You start to see that you and the universe were never separate. You were always two sides of the same breath. The divine is not somewhere out there. It's pulsing through your veins, dreaming through your imagination, moving through your choices. To live this way is to live as a conscious creator, not commanding reality but dancing with. 8. Eternity in the everyday. The more expanded your awareness becomes, the more sacred the ordinary feels. You find eternity not in visions of light, but in simple moments. The sound of rain, the softness of morning air, the smile of a child, the scent of home. You begin to see that God never hid in temples or stars. God hid in the mundane, waiting for your eyes to see. Every moment becomes a doorway into the infinite. Every breath whispers, "I am here." You no longer need to search for enlightenment because you're living it. Not in grand revelations, but in gentle awareness of now. 9. The endless gift of becoming. Even after merging with divine consciousness, there's more. The soul keeps expanding, infinitely curious, endlessly creative. It incarnates again and again. Not out of lack, but out of love for experience. You may return as a teacher, an artist, a healer, a wanderer. Each lifetime another brushstroke in the masterpiece of your soul. The purpose of life is not to escape the cycle, but to participate in it consciously, to play, to create, to love, to evolve. You are not here to reach a final destination called perfection. You are here to explore the infinite possibilities of being. That's why awakening never ends, because love never stops expressing itself. 10. Closing reflection. The circle becomes the spiral. At last you understand. There was never a straight path from pain to peace, from separation to union. There was only a spiral, the same lessons returning at higher frequencies, each turn bringing you closer to your own divine center. You see now that your twin flame journey wasn't about finding another person. It was about finding yourself, and through that self rediscovering all of creation. You are love, learning to recognize itself through form. You are the dreamer waking up inside the dream, yet choosing to keep dreaming beautifully. As you walk forward, you carry no destination, only devotion. Devotion to life, to love, to consciousness itself. And if there is one truth you take with you, let it be this. Love never ends because you never end. You are eternal light, expanding through infinite expressions. The journey continues, not in longing but in wonder. Because every sunrise, every meeting, every goodbye, every breath is simply love, remembering itself again. Epilogue. The flame that never dies. If you listen closely, beneath the hum of life, you will feel it. the heartbeat of the universe, pulsing in perfect rhythm with your own. That is the eternal flame, the spark that connects all souls, all lifetimes, all realities. It burns quietly without consuming. It waits patiently without demanding. It whispers eternally. You were never apart. You were always home. And so the journey continues, forever beginning, forever becoming, forever love.